Good evening and welcome into the Sports Center of Connecticut here in Shelton as we bring you this presentation of Northeast 10 Division II men's hockey. Today it's the Assumption University Greyhounds standing at 2-1-0 coming into town to take on your 1-1 post-University Eagles. Backed by our team of graduate assistants and joined alongside head coach Pete Whitney. My name is Max Stapleton and we're thrilled to be bringing you through today's action. Coach, only about less than a minute till we get underway here at the rink, so real quickly, two polar opposite starts for the Eagles. One game, a 6-0 shutout win. The other game, a 4-out shutout loss. Any keys to the game today?
Yeah, keys to the game are get the power play going again and then be attacking and more aggressive on pucks.
Well, we are underway here in Shelton. Thanks so much for joining us on your Saturday night. And immediately the Eagles win the faceoff and going to go right to left on your screen in their home white jerseys. Starting lineups today for Post University: Baxter Kimball, Joe Santoro, and A.J. Gazzardi, their first line grouping. Meanwhile, Aiden Kennedy and Owen Ringer on defense. Immediately they try to clear it out of their defensive zone, and they do so. Sending it into the O zone is A.J. Gazzardi, but Michael Salvatore in net is going to grab it for Assumption back there. Now they're going to look to break out of their own defensive end. Getting it past the blue line, and now dumping it all the way in. Collecting is Owen Rager for the Eagles. And both these teams going to have a bit of a feeling out process early on as that one's tipped up and out of play. Okay, the starting lineup for the visitors now: Ben Malusi, Thomas McGaffigan, and Brett Cunningham, your three forwards. Meanwhile, Patrick McKiernan and Andrew Toomey are the defense pairing. In net for them, it'll be Michael Salvatore making his second start of the year. Meanwhile, the third start of the year for Benjamin Canine in net for the Eagles. Another mid-ice face-off here, won by Post University. They immediately decide to dump it in, goes around the boards, going in to collect. Scotty Swain, one of the veteran presences, and once again just knocked out of play over in that offensive zone, so we'll have another quick face-off.
Yeah, kind of a choppy start. Both teams kind of feeling their way here a little bit, but we'll get it going, get a little smooth out, connect some passes, and get it going.
Connor Murray in the face-off circle for the Eagles. So it goes back towards Assumption's way. Assumption moving left to right in their away light blue jerseys. Tanner Glassrud cuts that pass off, now brings it back into his own defensive end. Back from Matthew Pacheco, I should say. Glassrud now swings it up. Connor Murray has it on his stick, going through the neutral zone and into the O zone. Murray decides just to dump it in and change off the ice there. Glassrud chasing after it for the Eagles. Now coming the other way is Assumption and Jonathan Surrett, one of the leading goal scorers and point getters of last year's NE10 play. Always got to watch out for him and Jake DiNapoli on the Assumption side. Just about a minute and a half gone here in this first period. Not a whole lot of stats on either side to talk about. Back in their own defensive zone and trying to break out of their defensive zone. Nice move that time by Leo Piandes. Piandes, 88, tries a little backhand try. That one misses wide of the net. Now coming right to left of Post University, Ryan O'Connell. Caden Connors in there for Assumption, battling for it, but it ends up going the Eagles' way, and now they break out of their own defensive end. Mateo Pekka brought it in, but once again turned it over, and now Eagles just looking to transition over back to their back check and now reset. Owen Rager going to chip it into that near corner. Nick Demio collects for Assumption University, but isn't able to clear the zone. Aiden Kennedy with a couple of good moves along these near boards. Eagles collect behind the opposition net. Man, after losing 4-0 yesterday and almost getting doubled up in shots in last night's affair in Assumption, the Eagles coming out with some momentum here early. Trying to keep it in their offensive zone, just barely clearing is Assumption. Aiden Kennedy retrieves it for Post University. It gets dumped right back in. Now coming out the other way. This is the Greyhounds. Trying to get it into the O zone onsides, but no can do. And of course the little extracurriculars after the whistle.
Yeah, and two right off the bat so far, two distinct attacks. Right, Assumption trying to possess the puck and move it in with possession, dumping when they need to, Post trying to dump the puck in and then attacking and trying to create off the dumps.
Thomas McGaffigan wins that faceoff for Assumption, but it ends up going Post's way. Aiden Kennedy now has it once again. Kennedy just trying to get it through neutral ice, but it gets cut off by a couple of Greyhound defenders. Now Baxter Kimball has it on his stick. The Eagles looking to set up a breakout play. Rager, long up ice pass, maybe a bit ill-advised. A.J. Gazzardi couldn't handle it cleanly, but the Eagles do win the race behind the net of Michael Salvatore. Back to Candy, back at the blue line. Candy with a long wrister. Salvatore gobbles it up. First real test of his night tonight with 16:35 left to go in the first.
Yeah, Post has skilled players, so they can possess that puck and make some tape-to-tape passes. They're going to be able to get their scoring opportunities, and that should be where their goals come from. They're a skilled team with quick feet.
One of the most skilled players last year and so far this year is a defenseman. Aiden Kennedy has been all over the ice so far this year, and you're already seeing him so far in this game making a few plays. Eagles with possession in their offensive zone. Tie up along these near boards. A.J. Gazzardi went down hard there. Cuts back to his feet. Assumption comes out the other way with it. Jonathan Surrett gets tied up along the near boards. Matthew Pacheco with a very nice play at neutral ice to force the turnover. Now Post moving right to left. Baxter Kimball once again past the red line and dumps it into the offensive zone. I believe TJ Haas in there for Post University in that far corner, although I'm having a hard time seeing the numbers, so we'll get used to it as this game goes along. Back in the near corner here. Assumption trying to break out of their defensive end. Tanner Glassrud cuts off that, what looked like it was going to be an icing play either way. Back to the far end now. Scotty Swain gets handled against the boards. And Matthew Pacheco almost able to keep it in. Meanwhile, Eagles try to reset. It looked like Connor Murray lost an edge there, and that allows Assumption to take over in their own defensive zone. Man, puck has been mostly on that side of the ice so far. If you're a Greyhounds fan looking to change that around, and maybe they'll be able to do so right here. Quick shot, doesn't quite hit the net for Assumption. Tough angle try that time, and Leo Piandes doesn't end up hitting the net as well. Goes off the side of it. Back out of the defensive zone of Post, but Greyhounds going to shoot it right back in. Andrew Toomey, the true freshman, making the play that time around. Meanwhile, Kennedy already said his name multiple times tonight, drifting it through neutral ice with Parker Norling. Norling sends it back for Kennedy. Shot on goal. Salvatore makes the save. Eagles cover the rebound here. Another try. Owen Rager that time, and I believe Salvatore got a piece of that one as well. Into that near corner. For Assumption, it's David Lawler, one of their top-line defensemen, trying to break out. But this forecheck for Post, alive and well early in this first period, coming out with energy. And again, another turnover forced that time. Eagles bring it right back in. Long wrist shot at try, right from the blue line. Salvatore easily stops that one. Eagles swing it back around the boards. Trying to break out of their zone again is Assumption, but that should go as an icing, though. This is going to be a close race. Gotta give credit that time to the Greyhounds for almost winning that one, but it does go as an icing, and Assumption will not be able to change.
Yeah, and if they can continue this pace, this really favors the Eagles. Like I said, a lot of skill, quick players, move the puck quick, everything pace, everything tempo. Notice some shorter shifts early on. That's making a difference.
Tie up off the draw. It ends up going the Greyhounds' way. Swing it around the boards. And, Coach, something that you got to love if you're Tim Richter and company right now, the puck is staying on that side of the ice for the most part.
Yeah, exactly.
Eagles cut it off once again at neutral ice. Ooh, beautiful move. Almost a great play into the zone from Jacob Howell. But instead, the Post team will have to reset and just dump it in. Long up ice pass attempt again, maybe a bit ill-advised from Assumption that time. Nicely cut off by Matthew Pacheco. Greyhounds try to bring it back in. Once again, that Eagles defense standing tall and stout at neutral ice, so they have possession in their own defensive zone. Baxter Kimball sends it across the ice. This is Joe Santoro now. Santoro, the starting center for Post University on that top line. Brings it around the net of Salvatore, but loses possession, trying to get it right back, battling with Nick Demio for Assumption. Greyhounds come the other way with it. Now looking for a lane, taking the shot, and actually goes off of Tanner Glassrud. That time it was Brett Cunningham with the shot attempt for the Greyhounds. A.J. Gazzardi almost able to race after that loose puck. Eagles look to reset things back in their own net behind the net of Benjamin Canine. Canine only a week ago picked up the first shutout in Post University history. Then, of course, last night got shut out on the other end, so be interesting to see what version of him we'll get tonight. Assumption back in their own end, trying to get it through neutralized, but yet again, this neutralized defense for the Eagles forcing turnover after turnover. Scotty Swain sends it in deep, trying to make a tough play on it. for Post University was TJ Haas, one of the transfers into this Eagles club this year. Still in their offensive zone is Post. Back out to Connor Murray with the one-time attempt, but didn't look like he got all of that shot. Kept in nicely that time by Owen Reagor, and his wrist shot right into the chest of Michael Salvatore with 12:16 left to go in this first period.
Yeah, now is the time for Post to get as many pucks to the net as they can. They've got Assumption right now on their heels. Win the draw here and just get things to the net.
Basketball is constantly known as a game of runs, but hockey can be that way too. Right now it feels like the Eagles have a good flow going and just want to capitalize on that momentum.
Right, when your plays are working for you, your feet get a little lighter, your feet get a little quicker. Just the way it is.
Puck barely trickles out of the offensive zone that time around for Post, so they'll have to reset things, but bringing it right back in. I believe it's Tanner Glassroot. Turns it over, and Assumption takes over, moving left to right on your screens. Through neutral ice, good play from Shane McElhaney as he takes a hard wrist shot, but easily gloved down by Benjamin Canine. And that's actually going to go as the first shot on goal for these Assumption Greyhounds almost halfway through this first period.
Yeah, Post has done a really good job of, once they get over that blue line, able to keep pressure on. Again, once they possess that puck and they start moving it, they're a very different team. They're a very different team in a positive way.
Nick Fall, the extra skater, loses that face-off attempt for Assumption, bringing it in, Baxter Kimball. Kimball has it taken away from him, and Nick Fall gets handled hard against the boards, but Assumption with an opportunity here. Great shot, great save by Benjamin Canine. Shot coming off of Ben Malusi that time. Another try goes way up and above the netting. Assumption still with possession, goes back out towards the blue line. Long wrister looking for a deflection, but that one deflected up and over the net of Benjamin Canine. Fight for it along the near boards, again back out to the point, and again Nick Demio's shot gets stopped by Canine. Still behind his net, 3 Eagles there, 1 Greyhound. Looks like the puck almost got lodged on the side of the net, but it does end up coming out of there. Ooh, good play set up that time around. But this Eagles do end up coming away with it. AJ Gazzardi tries to stick drift around an Assumption defender, but couldn't do so, and now fighting for possession along those far boards. Now the Greyhounds seem to have a little bit of momentum coming their way. See if the Eagles can respond. Tanner Glassroot with it now. Kept it nicely from Assumption that time around. Glassroot once again looking for the up ice pass intended for Jacob Howell, but that's going to go down as an icing, so the Eagles will have to keep their 5 out there.
Yeah, Post doing a good job in the defensive zone of reversing that puck, holding it for that instant, drawing the opponent to him, then reversing it the other way. So that's something that they can keep working on and see if Assumption picks up on it. If they don't, then just keep it going.
Top line out there for the Greyhounds, Jake DiNapoli, Ryan Decker, and Jonathan Surrett. Jacob Howell thought he was getting kicked out of the face-off circle there, but ends up back in there, and Howell wins it. Stays in the offensive zone only temporarily, however. Pacheco racing after it, ends up losing it. It goes into the far corner. The Eagles look to break out. Haas finds McGuigan. One of the first times we've said his name tonight. McGuigan takes a tough angled shot in the offensive zone. Rebound loose, and it goes around the boards. Assumption going left to right on your screens. They bring it in. Cut off that time nicely by Owen Reagor. Howell fighting for it along these near boards, but puck movement moving quick in the offensive zone for the Greyhounds as they try a tough angled shot, and that one stopped by Canine as well as an Eagles defender out in front. Andrew Toomey with it on his stick, looking for a lane to enter the zone, and it goes back to Toomey. Toomey gets it past the blue line, but once again, Owen Reagor with a heads-up poke check as he takes it away. Now Aiden Kennedy has it. Kennedy finds Connor Murray. Murray just chips it in farther ahead and dumps it in deep. Under 10 left to go in this first period. Still scoreless between the Greyhounds and Eagles in their second conference game each of the season. Leo Piandes enters the O-zone, takes a tough angled shot, gloved down by Ben Canine, but he couldn't control the rebound. Battle for it behind Canine's net. Connor Murray in there, but Aiden Kennedy comes away with it. For TJ Haas along the far boards, Haas tries a bank pass to himself, but couldn't quite get past Shane McElhaney. Now Assumption goes the other way, looking to break out of their defensive zone. Eagles look to keep in, but couldn't do so that time around. Piandes once again. He got cut off by Tanner Glassroot. Boy, something I'm noticing, Coach, here, the poke checks are surprisingly accurate for Post University. I only say that because they make it look easier said than done, you know?
Really good with their stick. They've got good sticks in that area of the house right now.
Glassrud cuts it off once again here at the near corner, coming in to help Connor McCowell. And Glassrud ends up with possession for Post University. Takes it around his own net, now gets it out of the defensive zone. Glassrud stick handling it himself, then decides to dump it in deep. Eagles look to reset here. Not a whole lot of whistles as well on either side so far. Glassrud sending it across the ice, but that pass may be ill-advised. Eagles do have it, resetting things. Michael Montague with it. Tries a bank pass, but doesn't look like, Parker Norling was there, but right below us, so hard to see. Now the Eagles send it around the boards where Michael Salvatore tries to touch it up. 7:55 left to go in this first period. Eagles looking to break through as they try a tough angled shot. Salvatore had to stay on his toes there as he handled the deflection well. Assumption sends it all the way back down the ice, but it got deflected on the way there. On top of that, they're going to win the race. Ryan O'Connell for the Eagles. A.J. Gazzardi. Now over to the near side, Baxter Kimball. Kimball back into the offensive zone, back behind the net of Michael Salvatore. Gazzardi picks up the loose puck. Battling for it in that far corner. Couple of Greyhounds, couple of Eagles in there, and Assumption ends up coming out with it, moving left to right. Brett Cunningham dumps it in deep. Looked like there might have been a tripping there, but nothing called, and we'll play on. Coming out with it, Owen Rager. Boy, the tall-bodied Owen Rager with a head of steam, and now the hand is raised as that's going to be a penalty coming up. Going to the bench, Benjamin Canine, and the first power play of the game for either side coming up, this time for Post.
Yeah, great opportunity for Post here. Just a lack of discipline, no reason to drop that player. So Post gets the first shot at the power play, and I'm sure after last night's game they looked at video, they looked at some options, and they've got something worked out here.
See what Post can do with the man advantage here. 6:59 left to go in this first period. First power play on either side of this one. But it's the Greyhounds who win their defensive zone faceoff. Nice play by Aiden Kennedy trying to cut off at neutral ice. Ends up going back behind the net of Benjamin Canine, and the Eagles will have to touch up. Kennedy has it on his stick. Now brings it through and finds A.J. Gazzardi. Gazzardi, one of the new faces on this team, gets manhandled right at the near corner. Back out to the blue line for the Eagles and across for Aiden Kennedy. Kennedy over to the near boards, back to Kennedy. Looks like he has a lane. He takes the shot, saved by Salvatore. Kicked out into the corner. And the Greyhounds try to clear, can't do so yet. Finally, they get it all the way down where Canine will have to touch it up. Boy, Benjamin Canine facing a little bit of pressure there from Jake DiNapoli, even shorthanded. And Owen Rager slows it down behind the net. Parker Norling with a head of steam through neutral ice. Norling gets around one defender, looking to get around another, but couldn't quite do so. Gets taken away and chipped all the way back down for another clearance. Scotty Swain with it. Swain with attempt number 3 here on the power play to enter the offensive zone. Gives it off for Joe Santoro. Santoro brings it in, takes it around to the corner. Santoro in a heated battle behind the opposition net, brings it back out to the blue line. Scotty Swain dancing around, looking for a lane to pass it to. Sends it back behind the net, back to Swain, and a beautiful tic-tac-toe play. But I think Michael Salvatore just got a piece of that one. Assumption able to clear it all the way down as the clock ticks down to 20 seconds left on the power play. Ben Canine, once again, Jake DiNapoli shorthanded, very aggressive, almost like a forecheck, and almost forcing the turnover on the Eagles netminder. Connor Murray once again, past the red line, past the blue line, drops it back. Jacob Howell couldn't handle that one cleanly. Leo Piandes clears it down, and that will do it. 0 for 1 go the Eagles tonight on the power play. By my count, Coach, only one shot on goal that time. Just not a whole lot of opportunities in the offensive zone.
No, Assumption was very aggressive, and Post really didn't get the opportunity to set up.
Takes a funny bounce there, almost right in front of the crease of Benjamin Canine. The Eagles do recover it and settle it down. Glassrud back in his own zone. Eagles looking to break out here. Connor McCowell through neutral ice, back into the offensive zone, but going to be whistled down for offsides as Parker Norling was just a touch out in front. 4:25 left to go in this first period. Taking a look at some of the stats. Shots on goal total, it's evened up a bit. 6-5 in favor of the Eagles. Face-off circles, 6-4 in favor of the Eagles. Of course, the Eagles 0 for 1 on the only power play of the game so far.
Yeah, again, that's something that they're going to have to talk about between periods here, and how do we want to operate? Yeah, something up with his equipment.
Oh, with his equipment. I got worried about an injury there, but then he was skating off very quick, and I was
pretty good. Yeah,
yeah, he looked pretty all right. So
no, but they have to. And they'll look at that. They'll talk about that, what they need to do to simplify and just start getting some shots through, create some momentum for yourself. That's all.
So as you heard us talking about, Jamison Alejandro of Assumption heads back to the locker room with a seemingly equipment malfunction, so we'll see when he can get back out onto the ice. Assumption in their own defensive zone, looking to clear it out of there, but kept in that time by Owen Rager, and then a big hit pretty long after the whistle. I don't know if it's getting called for a penalty or not, but either way, a whistle's blown.
I think it's going to be a hand pass, because that was
a hand pass.
That was a hand pass. That was about a 60-foot hand pass right there.
Doing his best baseball pitcher impression was Owen Rager that time around.
Hey, better than that than somebody getting past you for a breakaway.
Exactly.
No question.
You can appreciate the effort as a former coach yourself. So neutral ice face-off here. Joe Santoro loses that one to Thomas McGaffigan, and now Assumption moving left to right. Goes all the way down, and that's actually going to be an icing, so the face-off will go all the way back to the left, I believe, of Michael Salvatore. 3:52 here in the first period, and after starting this game with almost no stoppages, we've had quite a few over the last couple minutes or so, but maybe giving these teams a couple of extra minutes to catch their breath. Been a high level of pace so far in this first period.
Yeah, it's been a good tempo from both clubs.
After the Eagles really came out strong in the first half of this period, Assumption has responded. Aiden Kennedy in his own defensive zone finds Joe Santoro. The Eagles are able to get it out of there, but for how long is the question. Bringing it right back in, Brett Cunningham, he has it taken away. It goes back out to Nick Demio, who dumps it right back in once again. Aiden Kennedy to retrieve the loose puck for post. Gazzardi on the far boards finds Santoro once again. Santoro trying to get around a defenseman in Caden Connors, but Connors with a heads-up stick, and Santoro takes it right back. Eagles get possession. Baxter Kimball finds O'Connell. O'Connell in the offensive zone. He tries a tough angled shot. It goes right through the crease of Michael Salvatore. Kept in that time nicely by McGuigan. And O'Connell ends up turning it over in the offensive zone. Now a possible breakaway coming out here. Jake DiNapoli takes the shot, and a beautiful blocker save, that time from Benjamin Canine. Going the other way, McGuigan one-on-one, and that one gets blocked before it ever hits the net. Nice play defensively from David Lawler for the Greyhounds. Once again, Jake DiNapoli, one of the top goal scorers in the NE10 last year, with a one-on-none situation only a few seconds ago, but Benjamin Canine stood up strong in net. Tanner Glassrich sends it across the ice. Jacob Howell sends it up the ice, and the Greyhounds take over. Back into their offensive zone, Jonathan Surrett, the captain of this team, driving towards the net, backhanded try, beautiful kick save by Canine. And the net becomes dislodged, so we'll have a stoppage here with 2:13 to go. But boy, the best chances of this first period for Assumption, and Canine stays strong on both.
Yeah, and that's the difference too with Assumption's attack. Post has been very good with their sticks, but Assumption's been going straight at the defender. Whereas there, when they try to go around the defender, makes it a little bit more difficult, and you can get some scoring opportunities. So Assumption needs to do that, and Post needs to watch for that.
Looked like Jacob Howell just didn't even try on the face-off there. Coming in. Ooh, Benjamin Canine with another great save. Rebound chance, and that one just shot wide. Caught the skate of Jacob Howell defensively. Goes out of their zone, but again, for how long becomes the question. Drifting back to collect, that's Patrick McKiernan, second-line defenseman for Assumption, pairing up with Andrew Toomey, who he got the puck to. Back through neutral ice and back into the offensive zone goes Assumption. McKiernan sends it back behind the net of Canine, but once again, maybe a bit ill-advised. Not quite sure what Candy was doing. It ends up going on goal, so no icing that time around. And Assumption will reset with 1:35 left to go. Brett Cunningham couldn't quite get it past the blue line. Aiden Candy has it on his stick now. Boy, hard collision right at neutral ice that time. Owen Rager, the big-bodied Owen Rager, ends up getting stood up by a Greyhounds forward. Back into their O-zone, go Post University. But again, having a hard time just sustaining possession on the offensive end of things in the last couple minutes or so. Thomas McGaffigan dumps it in deep. Over to retrieve Glassroot. Once again through neutral ice, Parker Norling couldn't handle the pass from McCowell. Looking to take over, Caden Connors for Assumption. 45 seconds left in this first period. Slap shot try from a tough angle. I believe that one was just shot over the net. Connor McCowell trying to collect the loose puck in that near corner. Now a tie-up for it. Drifts back out of the defensive zone of Post, but Tanner Glassroot's right there to shoot it back in. 30 seconds left to go in this first period. We have a whistle here. A hand is raised, and they're going to say it's played with a high stick. So 25.1 left to go. And this period started off, I believe, as a 5-1 shots on goal advantage for Post University. Has now dwindled, and they're trailing 8-6 in that category.
Yeah, with a power play now as well. Way to end the period and go into the second.
So it does look like a penalty was going to get called, actually. I apologize.
I think that was, you're right. I think that was a high stick. It wasn't the puck knocked down with a high stick. It was just a high stick.
Oh, a high stick. Apologize about that. Yep.
Yeah.
Not a call that I've seen too often so far this year, but one that's called here. And the Eagles on their second power play opportunity. Long shot attempt. That tie just goes up and over the netting. And we have another whistle here. Looks like we had a bit of a scoreboard issue, I believe, causing the stoppage. Don't think the player number was updated on the penalty. At least he was pointing that way, so that's why I assume the stoppage was. But either way, 20.8, still scoreless between these two teams. And while we're waiting, let's get you some of the other numbers in this game. Face-off-wise, back towards Assumption once again. They're now leading in that category 8-7. And, of course, this being the second power play of the game, both of them for Post. So far, they're 0 for 1. Now it looks like Tim Richter wants an explanation from the referees here. Clock is still going on the scoreboard, actually, and it's drifted down to 10 seconds, although don't believe that's quite correct, so they're going to have to fix that too, or maybe it is, who knows. If it's correct, there's 10 seconds left in the period. Face-off gets dropped in the offensive zone. Goes all the way back down behind the net of Benjamin Canine, and that will do it here in the first period. So the Eagles will start the second period on the power play, but we remain scoreless. Period coach started off very strong for Post, but Assumption, after surviving the first five, quote-unquote, the common expression in hockey, seemed to settle down and kind of get their footing towards the second half of that period. Yeah,
and Post is doing a really good job of just playing a disciplined game. Again, you can't keep giving a team that went 3 for 6, I think, against WestCon.
Yeah,
something crazy like that, which is a heck of a percentage.
Yeah,
and they had that. You can't give a team that shows that they could do that continued opportunities when they're in their own barn. So Assumption's going to have to talk about that between periods and try to tune that up, and Post will sit down, draw something up, and try to make them pay for it.
Taking a look. Yeah, Coach, you were exactly right. 3 for 6 on the power play in that Western Connecticut game. Post, they can be lethal with the man advantage. They'll start the second period that way in just about 15 minutes from now. Still scoreless after one. And the second conference battle for these two teams between the Assumption Greyhounds and your Post University Eagles. Be back in 15 minutes. Enjoy the intermission.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back into the Sports Center of Connecticut as we're just about 30 seconds away from the start of our middle period of play between the Assumption University Greyhounds and your Post University Eagles. Still scoreless after one, Coach. Pretty fun period, pretty evenly played between these two teams. As we mentioned, Post felt like they started off strong. Assumption kind of evened the playing field as that period went on.
Yeah, it's really a good pace. It doesn't look like, sometimes you get that second game of the weekend where, both teams put it all out there, on the night before, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like both teams are very eager to play. Post here to prove that last night was maybe an aberration, and Assumption ready to take on the challenge.
Teams switch sides for this middle period. Taking a look at the first period stats, Assumption ended up leading the shots on goal total 8-6 in period number one. They also won in the face-off circle 9-7. But of course, Post starts this period on the man advantage. Penalty assessed to Jonathan Surratt to close out that first period. So Post so far, they're 0 for 1 today on the power play, looking to make it 1 for 2. They enter the offensive zone. A.J. Gazzardi racing after the loose puck. So are multiple Eagles. Connor Murray ends up getting possession for Post University. Kicks back out to Aiden Kennedy at the blue line. Gazzardi once again at the far corner. Over here for Owen Rager. Back to the blue line, Aiden Kennedy. Kennedy for Rager. Now across the ice once again. The Eagles looking to set up some more shooting opportunities on their power play here as Kennedy takes a long wrist shot, but that one gets deflected wide and out of the zone of Assumption. Nice play by Patrick McKiernan defensively there, getting the block and the clearance.
Yeah, again, there's some lanes there. Just got to move the puck a little bit quicker, a little more decisive, dictate a little bit more on your setup.
Just about 30 seconds left to go on the man advantage for the Eagles. Owen Rager brings it past the blue line. Stick handling and looking for a tough angled shot, but that one went right through the crease. Joe Santoro keeps in the offensive zone. Back to Rager. Rago looking for a lane. Back to the blue line. Glassrud, one-time attempt, they score!
There we go. Just move it, shoot it. There we go.
Joe Santoro!
Really nice play. Really nice play. Good finish by Joe. Really good look right there.
Actually, it looks like Baxter Kimball is leading the line here for the Eagles. Either way, it's going to be Kimball or Santoro, but that top line gets Post University on the board 1-0, less than 2 minutes into this second period on the power play.
Yeah, and that was the difference, right? It was high, they moved it down low, moved it across, back door, perfect. Perfect one-timer. Really nice play.
How about the finish there? We're going to go with Joe Santoro from now until the official scoring comes in, but top shelf, nothing that Michael Salvatore could do in net. Now the Eagles looking to continue that momentum. Nice setup there. An even better defensive stick that time from Shane McElhaney. He has it on his stick right now, and Assumption trying to clear out of their defensive zone. They just barely do get it out of there.
Really good psychologically for Post as well. By Everett getting shut out last night. That's out of their head now. Okay, we know we can score. Let's go.
Official scoring does come in on that goal. It will go down for Joe Santoro. No assist numbers on that as of yet, but as we saw, a one-timer, so we'll wait for the official apples to come in as well to give him back to you. 17:58 left to go in this middle period. Now a 1-0 lead in favor of the good guys. Trying to get out of their defensive end and going through neutral ice. Cross-ice pass maybe a bit ill-advised, but how about Jacob Howell showing off the wheels and winning that race into that far corner? Howell getting some help. That's Nate McDevitt in there. Hasn't played in every game so far for the Eagles, but getting his second start. Ooh, hard collision into the near boards here. Stays in the offensive zone for Post University. And it finally gets out of there. Assumption clearing it down the ice. Racing after for it, Ryan O'Connell looking to reset for Post. Just about 3 minutes gone here in this second period. The Eagles looking to continue their momentum and expand on their 1-0 lead. Back into the offensive zone it goes. Ryan O'Connell into the slot it goes. McGuigan couldn't finish. A beautiful save from Salvatore. Back out to the point here. Another shot from Post University, another save from Salvatore, that time coming off the stick of Michael Montague. And now we have some extracurricular activities going on in the crease. Actually looked like Salvatore lost his stick during that latest possession as well.
Yeah, that was really good focus by him. There was a lot of traffic in front, and he did a really great job finding that puck.
Shout out Hugh McGuigan, Jacob Howell, and Nate McDevitt, the fourth line forward grouping for Post University, making a difference here in the second period. Very experienced fourth line. 3 seniors. Don't see that often on your bottom line. Eagles still with possession. Try the long shot, looking for a deflection, but just left it wide. Oh, a huge collision in the near boards here. No hand gets raised. How about that hit from Scotty Swain? Back in the Assumption offensive zone this time around. Nick Demio at the blue line. Looks like he's going to take the wrist shot, but that one got deflected a few times and never quite hit the net. Almost kept in by Demio. Instead, he's going to have to reset things at neutral ice. Going to dump it in so the Greyhounds can touch up. Out it comes. Eagles going to take it all the way back, and Aiden Kennedy going to reset for Post University. Post sending it across the ice, now moving left to right in their home white jerseys. Another shot attempt that time around. Rebound chance gets covered up by Michael Salvatore. Shot coming off of TJ Haas, the sophomore transfer out of Heartland, Wisconsin.
Yeah, you can see now, right, that goal, the difference that's made for Post so far.
Absolutely.
Quicker feet, a lot of jump in their play, guys moving pucks, shooting pucks. That's what you need.
So there is Joe Santoro in the face-off circle, and he ends up winning it, but it goes all the way back out of the offensive zone, and the Eagles just decide to dump it back in. McKiernan sends it across the ice. Now Jonathan Surrett at neutral ice, trying to make a difference as the top line left winger for Assumption. He dumps it into the near corner. Jake DiNapoli with a tough angled shot. And a good save from Kaneen once again. Maybe his first big test of this second period. Kaneen has to stay on his toes that time around, stopping the slapper. Goes back behind his netting. Tanner Glassrud in there to pick it up. Now the Eagles trying to break out. Glassrud once again tries the long shot. That one ends up on goal. Salvatore just going to have to cover it up. Pretty smart play from Glassrud there, recognizing that you don't have numbers, firing it on net and forcing the frozen puck.
Yeah, again, zone time, possession, all difference makers. All those little details are your difference makers when you add it all up.
In the second period so far, Eagles out shooting the Greyhounds 5-2, and they're winning in the faceoff circle 3-1. Also for Post, short sample size, but worth noting on the season, 4 for 10 now on the power play. That's a pretty insane number. Goes into that far corner. Hard collision once again. Extra collision there between Parker Norling and an Assumption Greyhound as well, looking for a number. It was Shane McElhaney who was getting a little physical there. Eagles break out. Parker Norling once again. His pass intercepted by McElhaney. Now McElhaney with a breakaway. He takes the shot, but it goes right into the chest of Ben Kaneen as he covers it up.
Yeah, it was a good job by the Post defender getting back to force that shot outside the dot, which is a much better shot for your goaltender to face.
Kaneen standing strong so far in this one. Senior out of Pembroke Pines, Florida. Game 1 had the 6-0 shutout victory against Western Connecticut State, so looking for his second and only the third game of the season. Still got a long way to go in this one. Offensive zone win for the Greyhounds. McElhaney once again. He takes the shot, deflects a couple of times, and Kaneen gets it out of the crease and out of danger. A couple of great saves from the senior netminder once again. Assumption back with it at neutral ice. Now the loose puck is going to go the Eagles' way, and this game is getting more physical here in the second period. Eagles elect just to dump it in that time. It was Mateo Pekka who sauced it in there. Now Post trying to get it along the near boards. Michael Montague in there for the Eagles. Ends up going Luke Evers' way, and once again, Post just going to shoot it right back in and play this possession game, so to speak. Both teams getting a bit of a platoon swap in with 14-15 left to go in this middle period of play. Across the ice it goes. Now the Eagles look to take over once again. Right now, that neutralized defense for Post is standing stout, but we do have a hand raised and a possible penalty coming up. I believe it's going to be a cross-checking call and another power play coming up for the Eagles.
Yeah, again, Assumption right now just playing right into Post's hands, and Post doing a really good job. They obviously talked about this in the preseason as far as trying to stay out of it, trying to stay out of the box. If they can do that for the rest of this period and the rest of the game, they're going to be in really good shape.
Coach, 1 for 2 already on the power play here in this game are the Eagles. As we just mentioned, 40% on the season at 4 for 10. Got a little bit of a false start there. So Joe Santoro in the circle for the Eagles, but it ends up going Ryan Decker's way on the penalty kill. And now Assumption trying to clear it out of the zone, and they do. So a nice job to start off this third penalty kill already of the game for the Greyhounds. Coach, there's a fine line between being physical and being careless. Right now it feels like Post walking it so well, and as I say that, a bit of a broadcaster's jinx, as that was a great shot attempt and a beautiful save from Kaneen.
Well, they had a shorthanded goal last night, so they're trying to get after it and repeat history there on that one.
So barring that last play, there's a very fine line between being physical and being careless. Post playing that line perfectly. Assumption not so much through about halfway through this game.
Well, that's the key. The key is to get your opponent to that line and watch them go over it while you don't cross it.
Another shorthanded shot attempt, a high bouncing puck. Kaneen down to his back in the goalie crease, but no harm, no foul. And now a 4-on-2 here for Post University. But Kaneen, I believe, is hurt in his crease as he's down on the ice. Kaneen still struggling to get back up to his feet, and now it looks like he does.
I'm not sure of that whistle. I mean, I think maybe they thought Ben was hurt potentially more than he was. Right? Because
that's the only explanation I can think of.
Well, if you're Coach Richter, you're not too happy that you just lost a 4-on-2 when you blew a whistle for something that was a couple hundred feet away.
Now it looks like an Eagle is going off to the penalty box here. Not sure what the official call was.
So that was the whistle. The whistle was then for the penalty.
Exactly. So we now have a 4-on-4 here. Connor Murray goes down to the box for 2 minutes. First power play coming up shortly in just about 1:20 for Assumption here. Yeah. But for now, we'll go 4-on-4. Hugh McGuigan in the offensive zone finds Owen Rager. Now Rager finds Kimball. Kimball has it taken away from him. A nice play defensively from Andrew Toomey, the true freshman. And Toomey gives it off to McKiernan. See if Assumption can play around with a bit more space here 4-on-4 before they go on to the power play. As I say that, they get tied up in their own defensive zone. Thomas McGaffigan to the near side now for Jake DiNapoli. DiNapoli working up against Kennedy as his shot attempt. I believe Kennedy got a piece of that, deflected it wide of the netting. Back out to the point. One-time attempt that time, and Andrew Toomey's shot gets stopped by Kaneen, and the rebound chance gets gobbled up by the senior netminder yet again.
Yeah, Ben is just making some great saves here.
Ain't that the truth?
Starts getting scrambly. You just got to find your guy. You got to identify your guy. You got to communicate within your defensive zone. Post needs to do a little better job of that so these Assumption players can't shake loose like they are.
Kaneen, as a junior last year, had the third best goals against average and the first, actually the number one save percentage, I should say, in the NE10. So this is no surprise how strong of a start he's having to his season, even despite the little hiccup last night. Still in the defensive zone of the Eagles, 4-on-4 for another 28 seconds here before the Assumption power play. Back out to the point. Now they send it in deep. Chasing after it is Ryan O'Connell. O'Connell tied up with Ben Malusi in that near corner. Goes back behind the net of Kaneen. And now the Eagles look to break out with one last push on 4-on-4 before they transition to the penalty kill. Back into their offensive zone. Michael Salvatore will touch it up. Back behind his net. And officially, Assumption goes on the power play for the first time today. Drifting through neutralized and into their offensive zone, but Tanner Glassard with a heads-up stick to send it right back out, and we're under 30 seconds on this power play. Nick Demio slows it down even more. Pretty shocking, Coach, because it's a short power play, and Assumption doesn't really look like they're in any kind of rush here. Back into the offensive zone they go. Take the tough angled shot, stopped once again by Kaneen, and the bouncing puck gobbled up and frozen by the senior netminder. Shot attempt that time off the captain of Assumption, Ryan Decker.
Yeah, Assumption right now is doing a good job of finding that wide wing. He's coming down the wall and then slashing across behind the D. The D have to be aware that that's a play. They've done that a couple of times so far, but that's something purposely that they're doing for looking for a scoring opportunity. So Got to be aware of that.
Trying to go a bit more east to west, it sounds like, than north to south, so to speak.
Yeah, got to get your head on a swivel as a D. When it's even strength, make sure you count 5. If you can't count 5, look behind you.
Back at even strength between these two squads. 0 for 1 on the day. Go Assumption on the power play. 1 for 3 for the Eagles. 11-10 left to go in this middle period. 1-0 Post out in front, thanks to the goal from Joe Santoro. Back in their defensive zone, looking to break out. Owen Reagor. How many times have we said his name? He takes the shot off the post. Oh, beautifully placed, but the goalie's best friend helps out Michael Salvatore.
Yeah, that had every chance of going in.
Yep.
Just that little 2 inches there.
Owen Reagor, the sophomore defenseman. How about this top-line defense pairing between Kennedy and Reagor? Both have been showing off some great stick handling skills and shooting ability tonight.
Yeah, that's a good pair. They work well off each other.
Offensive zone win for the Eagles here. Ryan O'Connell looking for a deflection, but it just goes wide of the net. A.J. Gazzardi and Joe Santoro into the slot. It goes. Beautiful setup, but it got blocked by an Assumption defender. David Lawler got his leg in the way.
Yeah, he read that really well.
A.J. Gazzardi back behind the net to Salvatore once again. Gazzardi looking for a lane to pass to, but he's just getting harassed by Lawler. Puck trickling and loose in the crease. Don't believe it's going to count as a shot on goal. As Assumption clears it into safety. Back behind the net, Benjamin Canine racing after it. A couple of Eagles, a couple of Greyhounds. Assumption with possession as Demio tries to shot. That one got blocked. Another attempt and another block from an Eagles defenseman. Demio has it on his stick, looking to re-enter the zone for Assumption. Decides just to swing it back around. Oh, battle for it at neutral ice. No one quite gaining possession yet, but it looks like it's going to go Assumption's way, and it does. Tough angled shot, a long shot that time. A bit easier of a save for Benjamin Canine as we're under the halfway point of this game. 9:50 left in the period.
Yeah, this is that kind of middle part of the period where sometimes play can sag and one team can take advantage of the other. So let's see if Post can to up their push here in the last 10 minutes of this period and take advantage of that.
Eagles looking to add on to their 1-0 lead. Assumption looking to even this game up, but a defensive zone win for Post University. Aren't able to clear the zone, though. Nice job by Ryan Decker to keep it in and finds Jake DiNapoli. DiNapoli circling around, sends it back behind the net of Canine. Decker once again, now over to the point. Caden Connors. Connors trying to wrist shot, deflects a couple of times and ends up deflecting over the net of Post University. Loose puck still in the corner. Assumption picks it up, and a shot attempt that time from Surrett. I believe an Eagles defender got in the way of it once again. And how about these Eagles defensemen putting their bodies on the line as well to make Canine's night a bit easier? Assumption looking to break out, sending it up the ice. And a hand gets raised here.
Off.
And it's going to just be for offsides here, as they did touch up and we're back. So Jacob Howell now through neutral ice. Going to take the long shot, ends up going into the near corner. Nice job by Jonathan Mayer. One of the few times we've said his name, but he won that race to try to set up possession for the Eagles in the offensive zone. Still a battle for it, and Assumption is able to get it out of there. Jacob Howell trying to go 1-on-2 into the O-zone. Doesn't work out that time around, and the Eagles just going to dump it in and get a change in. Let's get a fresh platoon out there. That one tipped and should be an icing as it was before the red line, and it will be. 8:26 left in this second period. Man, stat totals, it really doesn't feel this way. How about 20 shots on goal in the game for Assumption, only 11 for Post, but it doesn't quite feel like it should be going in that direction.
Well, when you look at the shots, too, you have to look at quality, too. I mean, I think Assumption's game is they know how good of a goaltender Ben is, and they're just trying to hope that after a number of shots, they can wear him down a bit, and then perhaps cash in on that.
Pepper him, tire him out, but it's going to be a hard task facing the senior goaltender with a lot of experience and a couple of great seasons for Post University in his pocket already. Clock ticks down to 8 minutes here in the middle period of play. Not the greatest neutral ice setup there for Post University, and Assumption will take over. Andrew Toomey, not a great pass that time from the true freshman as it goes back into his own defensive zone. Nick Demio picks it up instead. And once again, Assumption having a hard time just clearing the zone. Connor McCowell into the slot, and Parker Norling just couldn't knock that one out of the air. Aiden Kennedy back at the point here for Post University. Long try attempt, deflects a couple of times. Oh boy, how did Salvatore see that one? And now Salvatore comes in and pushes down a Post Eagle offensive player. A couple of guys getting into it here right in front of Salvatore's crease.
Yeah, players getting a little excited there, that little extra push.
Mateo Pekka and Andrew Toomey still pushing and shoving right in front of the referees and the linesmen. See if anything gets called here. Boy, I didn't know what caused Michael Salvatore to get so upset. You don't see it very often. Does look like Parker Norling's going to go to the penalty box. See if anyone else will.
Well, there was after he made that, he was down. We didn't really see the puck.
Right.
And maybe he did, but he got that stick in there. That's what set the goaltender off. But again,
still seemed like the puck was
no
fairly
whistle.
loose.
There's no whistle. You got to play the whistle.
So the second power play opportunity of the game for Assumption as Parker Norling gets penalized. 2 minutes in the box. Take a long shot attempt. That one deflects wide of the netting. Surrett sends it back out to the point. Patrick McKiernan back to Surrett at the far wing. Over down low. Assumption not getting a whole lot set up here. Post doing a good job of keeping the puck over on the boards. But once again, Shane McElhaney right at the point. Now sends it across the ice. McKiernan back down low for Surrett. They try a tough angled shot, but nobody really home to bury it. And Assumption still with possession. Surrett once again. And Benjamin Canine, I believe, got a blocker on that one. Assumption doing a great job of controlling the rebounds right now and going after the loose pucks on this power play. 45 seconds gone with the man advantage. Candy couldn't control it behind the net. Back out to the point it goes. McElhaney with a long shot attempt, looking for a deflection. But nothing home. Jake DiNapoli couldn't bury it past Ben Canine.
Yeah, they're doing a good job right now just wheeling that puck around in the hopes of trying to pull Post to one side so that back door can be a little bit more available.
Benjamin Canine proving to be a tough puzzle to solve for Assumption. See if they can figure it out on their second power play attempt of the game. By the way, this year Assumption less than 10% on the power play. They're 1 for 12 after the early one today. Post coming into this game, they're a perfect 7 for 7, make it 8 for 8 after the early one on the penalty kill. Less than a minute gone, or less than a minute to go, I should say, on the power play for the Greyhounds. Surrett sends it over to the far boards here. Leo Piandes looked like he just swung it back behind the net, and it goes over to Surrett in that corner. Surrett not being guarded too tightly right now. Eagles trying to set up defensive position shorthanded. That shot attempt, rebound chance, they score!
Yeah, that was just a little too passive by Post right there on the penalty kill. And they let him operate around, made those up, down, over passes. And then just too many numbers in front of the net. He found the puck. Nice bury.
Nothing Ben Canine can do about that. Jonathan Surrett, second goal of the season for the junior out of Woburn, Massachusetts. And Coach, that was just a rebound chance, and Canine would have had to have superhuman speed to get to that one. At least it felt like it.
Yes, no, for sure.
Jacob Howell trying to make a play, one against the world, and he's going to force a power play coming up for the Eagles. How about Jacob Howell? Fourth line center making a great play 1-on-3 and forces the penalty coming up against Assumption.
You know, one of the hardest working players on this roster. So it's great to see him. Like, he's rewarded with that, obviously.
Absolutely.
You always think of a goal, right, as something that's rewarded, but you just earned your team a power play.
And a chance to shift momentum right back onto your side after giving up the equalizer less than 10 seconds ago on the clock.
And coach rewards you and leaves you out there.
You're absolutely right. Into the near corner battle for it. Norling, Santoro, and Baxter Kimball all in there for Post, but it goes back out to the point. Howell tried to send it across the blue line, but that one got tipped and out of the defensive zone it goes. Joe Santoro to reset for Post University. Now it's taking it with a head of steam through neutral ice, past the blue line. He goes, leaves it for a teammate. Good shot attempt that time. Beautiful setup, but right into the chest of Michael Salvatore. And Salvatore has something to say to Jacob Howell right now as well. Howell gave him a little bit of a hook after the play, but again, I think that's nothing abnormal. Howell just looking in case Salvatore doesn't control the rebound to pick up a loose puck.
Yeah, again, you play the whistle. When the whistle blows, you try to lay off. If it's not, you play until you hear it.
Right now you can see the captain, Ryan Decker, of these Greyhounds complaining to the officials. Santoro and Decker in the face-off circle. Santoro wins it for Post. Back out to Norling here at the blue line. Norling trying the shot, but Decker gets his body in the way of it. Joe Santoro gathers the loose puck. Back over into the low slot. Now at the blue line, Norling finds Baxter Kimball. Kimball driving towards the net, looking for Jacob Howell down low. Nice setup, not the best execution. Back out of the zone and a good clearance from Assumption, but only 45 seconds gone on the power play. Feels like it's been a long one. Post doing a good job of keeping the puck on that end of the ice for the most part here with the man advantage. O'Connell into the O-zone. Howell with a lot of space, and that shot attempt gets blocked. Good play that time defensively from Nick Fall, the extra skater for Assumption. Scotty Swain finds Howell once again, and Howell tries a tough angle. That one just misses over the netting yet again. TJ Haas to recover for Post University, now looking for a lane, circling at the blue line, sends it down low. Scotty Swain across the ice. Owen Rager, and Rager's pass attempt gets deflected out of the zone and into safety. A nice play once again by Nick Fall defensively. AJ Gazzardi brings it back in. Less than 30 seconds to go on the power play for the Eagles. Goes all the way down. And how about Leo Pinades in good position here? Takes it behind the net of Canine shorthanded. Eventually turns it over. Eagles looking to reset and possibly get one last push on the power play as it ticks down to 10 seconds. Doesn't look like they're going to get it. Nice job on the penalty kill, especially by Leo Pinades, just wasting a good amount of precious time off that clock. TJ Haas tries a tough angle. That one misses the net. AJ Gazzardi going after the loose puck over here. Jonathan Surrett wins that battle, however. Jake DiNapoli gets it into the offensive zone. A little shot for a rebound that time. Benjamin Canine kicks it into safety. About 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the period. Surrett keeps it in his offensive zone. Only temporarily, however, as Owen Rager is able to bring it out. Norling past the blue line. And a good heads-up stick that time by Andrew Toomey. Man, a true freshman making a lot of plays defensively. A rocket of a shot off the wrist that time. Looking for a number. I believe it was Thomas McGaffigan shooting for Assumption, but it just missed the net. And it goes all the way back right in front of Michael Salvatore. Just about 3 minutes left in this middle period of play. What a fun pace this game has had between these two in-conference foes. Back into the defensive zone of the Eagles it goes. Nice play by Justin Scarborough to dump it in there. And now he's racing after it himself. Puck loose, and it ends up going the Eagles' way. Again, the question becomes for how long. Race for the loose puck, and a nice play by McGugan to call off the icing that time. Everybody loses an edge in that near corner. And pass into the slot. Beautiful setup, and Jacob Howell just couldn't find the net. Boy, it feels like, as you were saying, Coach, Howell, one of the hardest working players you know. Only a matter of time before he breaks through with a goal. Back in at the near boards. Who else but Jacob Howell here racing after the loose puck? Battling against Nick Demio of Assumption. McGugan to the blue line here. Long shot attempt from Montague, and that one saved by Salvatore. McGugan going after the loose puck. Howell right there as well. Gets taken down to the ice. Good play defensively that time by the Greyhounds. They cannot clear it. Finally, they are able to take it out of there. Boy, anxious moments in their own defensive zone for Assumption University. That looked like Jake Russell might have gotten taken down, but nothing else gets called. And the Eagles look to bring it right back in. Under 2 minutes left to go in the period. Joe Santoro got the first goal of this game. Tried to leave it across the ice for Gazzardi, as Tanner Glassrud with a hard slap shot, but easily gobbled up by Salvatore yet again.
Yeah, again, good puck movement, finding some shooting lanes. Still good pace, good tempo, very, very deep into the second period.
Coach, really, since you said it, I've noticed it, just how fast and hard-working Jacob Howell has been, creating chance after chance. And for the senior from Derry, New Hampshire, still looking for his first one of the season. Hopefully he can get it here today. It feels like if he keeps on creating these great opportunities, he will. 1:40 left to go in the period. Offensive zone win for the Eagles. Back behind the net for Kimball. Kimball with a wraparound try. Bounces a couple of times and covered up by Michael Salvatore in the crease yet again. And you could see just about 3 Assumption Greyhounds immediately there because they're a little sick and tired of Salvatore complaining about all the extracurriculars.
Yeah, no, you got to stick up for your goaltender, and that was a nice shifty play by Baxter for sure.
Senior out of Elliott, Maine with the wraparound try. Tim Richter electing to get a fresh 5 out there. Connor Murray in the faceoff circle for post, but it goes Assumption's way, a la Ryan Decker, and now they move right to left, but nice and slippery. Somebody loses an edge. That was actually Surratt. Minute 20 left to go in the period. Assumption looking to break out of their defensive end. Well, not if Aiden Kennedy has anything to say about it that time around. Pass went right to him. Now the Eagles come into the zone. Oh, a beautiful setup here. Backhanded try. And that time TJ Haas just couldn't bury it home, but it looked like he had a good opportunity.
Yeah, it was just a really nice play by Aiden, created in that right around the blue line, not quite the neutral zone.
Now how about the counterattack here for Assumption? They almost had a 2-on-1 themselves forming, but a couple of good defensive poke checks from the Eagles. Now back into the offensive zone goes Scotty Swain. Swain smartly just sends it in deep, allows the rest of his teammates to get a change on and off the ice. Across the ice it goes for Assumption and into their own offensive zone. Nick Demio with a tough angled shot. That one doesn't quite go as Benjamin Canine stays strong. Actually, I should correct myself. That was Sean Donahue with that latest attempt, not Nick Demio. 32.6 left in this period, 1-1. Assumption evening up the game only a few minutes ago thanks to Jonathan Surratt's second of the season. Defensive zone win for Joe Santoro and this Eagles staff. See if they can get anything because of it as the clock ticks under 30 seconds here in the middle period. A.J. Gazzardi through neutral ice. Couldn't quite get around a nice defensive stick of a Greyhound. And Nick Fall, boy, he has made some great defensive plays, especially as the extra skater in the last couple of minutes. One last push for Assumption here. Demio shot, and that one gets gobbled up yet again by Ben Canine. And that one actually was Nick Demio that time. Taking a look at these stats in the second period, somewhat dominant for Assumption in the shots on goal department, 17-7. But coaches, we've talked about it's not the highest quality of shots, I should say, and it feels like the Eagles, of their 7 shots, most of them are grade A scoring chances.
Yeah, they've had the better scoring opportunities, there's no question. Like I say, it's just their effort by Assumption to try to wear the goaltender down.
So we'll see if they can wear the goaltender down as we're through 2 periods of play here at the rinks at the Sports Center of Connecticut. We're all tied up at 1 apiece here in Shelton. First goal was scored of this period. Actually, they did change it officially to Baxter Kimball for Post University, so Joe Santoro and Jacob Howell each get the assists only a minute into the period, but meanwhile, Jonathan Surratt answers, and Patrick McKiernan and Leo Piandes both get the apples for Assumption. We got a close game heading into third, tied up at 1 apiece. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 15 minutes here on Post University Men's Hockey.
Do it.
Welcome back to the Sports Center of Connecticut here for period number 3 between the Assumption University Greyhounds and your Post-University Eagles. Joined alongside Coach Pete Whitney, my name is Max Stapleton. Coach, tied up at 1-1 entering this third period. Really just what a fun pace of play this has been and a high level of hockey between these two in-conference foes.
Yeah, credit to both teams for their ability playing back-to-back in a fairly short amount of time and keeping the pace and tempo and compete that they're showing so far.
Not only back-to-back, but back-to-back in 2 separate buildings. Of course, last night's game in Assumption University, tonight here in Shelton. So we're underway, all tied up at 1 apiece, and Assumption's going to get the first offensive possession here. Hard wrister rebound chance goes off the side of the net. Wow. Canine forced to make a first save there. Great A opportunity to start off this period for Assumption early on.
Yeah, half a step more, and that would have been a really, really nearly impossible save.
Back into their offensive zone, looking to retain possession are the Greyhounds. At the blue line, send it into the corner, and the Eagles racing after it now. Tanner Glassrud knocks it out of midair. Battling against Jake DiNapoli for the Greyhounds. DiNapoli, of course, one of the high-powered offensive scorers in the entire NE10. But careless turnover there, back into the offensive zone for Surrett. And Surrett tried one extra pass to DiNapoli, but that one just couldn't connect. Now going the other way, Scotty Swain with a head of steam. Tries a bank pass to himself, and it works out. Now stops on a dime and tries to send it back out to the blue line. Nobody home and unable to keep it in. Where the Eagles, now a possible 2-on-1 forming for the Greyhounds. Going the other way, but a good deflection that time from Owen Rager as the net gets dislodged. We were talking about the pace. How about this pace to start off this third period?
Yeah, Assumption's come out on a mission. There's no question to try to get this soon. So post, right, you got to push back. You got to meet their pace, their tempo, and rise above it because it's your house.
Coaches, as the away team, often talk about surviving the first time, but right now for the Eagles, feels like you got to survive the first 5 of this third period with the way Assumption has come out with a head on fire, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's time for Post to turn that around.
In the face-off circle to the left of Benjamin Canine, but an Assumption win there in the circle. Nice play by Scotty Swain to get his body in the way. Ends up clearing the defensive zone, but only temporarily. Matthew Pacheco sent it around the boards. Tanner Glasser trying to pick it up here. Pacheco once again has it on his stick. Connor McCowell, ooh, that pass didn't work out there. Tough collision right at center ice. Owen Rager laying a body on a Greyhound. Goes back into the offensive zone of Post University, but it's picked up by the Greyhounds. The Eagles do get possession back. Owen Rager with a long wrist shot in that one. Believe Michael Salvatore got a piece of it in net for his first save of this period. Moving left to right, Leo Pinadas and the Assumption University Greyhounds. Taken away. Nice play that time by Mateo Pekka for Post. Puck still kind of tied up in the near boards. Finally clears the defensive zone, but Assumption looking to bring it right back in. Patrick McKiernan stops on a dime, looking to get around an Eagles defender. Owen Rager trying to clear the zone. Actually hit the rafters there and bounced back right in front of Ben Canine. So stoppage here at 17:32.
Yeah, that net doesn't seem to want to stay on his moorings.
Absolutely right there. Maybe you got to redo some of the posts, so to speak.
Well, time to water it in. Usually
exactly.
Lots of times the water in there, it'll freeze.
17:32 left in this third. Referee's waiting to drop the puck. Jacob Howell in there. Jake Russell gets sent out of there for Assumption. Greyhounds do end up winning that battle. Shot attempt gets blocked off the draw. Now a loose puck right in front of Benjamin Canine's crease. And Jacob Howell comes away with it for the Eagles. Hugh McGuigan with a head of steam into the offensive zone. Once again, that bank pass play to himself, but it goes a little too far. Back out to the point. Aiden Kennedy. Kennedy looking for a deflection. Jacob Howell just deflected it wide of the netting. Assumption looking to get it past the blue line. They do, but tied up right after that. Now the Greyhounds looking to reset and break out. Puck trickles all the way back down here. Once again, the Eagles have it now. A little cross-ice pass intended for McGuigan. McGuigan just sends it past the red line. Coming in, Shane McElhaney gets the body laid down on him, and that sounds like it's going to be a penalty. Nate McDevitt might be going off to the box. Actually, it's going to be Jacob Howell who goes off to the box instead after that big collision and tripping. So third power play opportunity of the game coming up for Assumption so far. Assumption entered this one at 1 for 11 on the season on the power play. Here today, they're 1 for 2. 2-minute minor assessed to Jacob Howell. Never great at these. At 3:18 in the period. I'm getting better at it. Another man thrown out of the face-off circle here for Assumption. So Jonathan Surrett takes it and loses it, and the Eagles do a great job of clearing it down on the penalty kill. Of course, the Eagles allowed their first power play goal of the season, but still that penalty kill percentage at a great place. Back through the offensive zone, Patrick McKiernan sends it around the boards. Tanner Glassrud couldn't quite corral it, but the rest of his Eagles teammates are able to clear it all the way back down behind the net of Michael Salvatore. Good job so far of not allowing the Greyhounds to get set up on this power play. Surrett sends it across the ice. Actually, that was DiNapoli who sent it for Surrett across the ice. Santoro got a stick in the way, however. And once again, the Eagles send it out of their defensive zone. 16 minutes left.
Post doing a good job of being aggressive and then supporting that. That first player forces, and their second and third players are doing a good job of reading it so far.
Eagles going with that 1-2-1 setup through the neutral zone defensively. Now Jonathan Surrett swings it back for Decker. Back to Surrett through the crease. Good setup, but it looked like that time Shane McElhaney just couldn't get his stick on it. Eagles get it past the blue line once again. Connor McCowell has it on his stick across the ice, and a good play forming here for the Eagles. One-time chance, and it looked like Mateo Pekka just couldn't finish it past Michael Salvatore shorthanded.
Yeah, they traded pretty similar opportunities right there.
Boy, how about these two netminders today? Both of their heads on a swivel. Benjamin Canine for post, Michael Salvatore for Assumption, keeping this game close at 1-1. Of course, on the icing on the power play, so face-off will go all the way back down to the left of Salvatore here. Santoro in the circle for the Eagles. Tough to see a number from this angle, but it looks like Leo Pinades wins it for Assumption. Going to slow things down behind their own net. They have 35 seconds left with the man advantage. Back across the ice for Jonathan Surrett. Gives it off to the blue line. McElhaney shot try, and how about DiNapoli shot attempt? Great positioning save from Benjamin Canine.
Yeah, Benny gave him nothing there. Really good job playing his angle.
Boy, I find it one of the most impressive things when goalies just come out in front of their crease, just take away all possible shot opportunities. Hard to do and made look easy from Ben Canine there. Back into the zone, Shane McElhaney, and Canine says no once again as he covers it up in his body with 14:47 left and only 6 seconds left to go on the power play. Canine so far tonight, he's faced 28 shots on goal. He has stopped 27 of them so far. And save percentage going to go up after this one if everything stays the same. And just another good game for the stellar goaltender for Post University. Face off to his right. Ends up going the Greyhounds' way. Driving towards the net was Assumption, but couldn't get anything off. Now trying to retain possession as we're back at even strength. So the Greyhounds dropped to 1 for 3 on the power play in this one. Tie up in that far corner right now. Ends up going the Eagles' way. Parker Norling takes it out of the defensive zone. Norling slows it down. Back over here for Owen Rager. Rager's pass just left a little too long for Kennedy. Parker Norling streaking up the ice, looking to form a breakout for Post, trying to send it across the ice that time. But Connor McCowell couldn't handle it cleanly, forces the turnover in the offensive zone. Pekka finds Norling, shot on goal, stop, that time from Salvatore yet again. Puck trickles all the way back out of the offensive zone, back behind the net of Benjamin Canine. The Eagles pick it up. Ryan O'Connell has it on his stick. O'Connell farther up the ice now. Connor Murray sends it back across. And TJ Haas just couldn't handle that one cleanly, trying to enter the offensive zone. Puck loose out in that far corner. Going the other way now. Thomas McGaffigan trying to break out for Assumption. Good heads-up play by Michael Montague, the second-line defenseman. He's been a couple of times on this last couple of possessions, gotten his stick in the way. That shot attempt gets deflected up and out of play from TJ Haas. 13-17 left in this period. Our live stat systems do seem to be down right now here at Post University, so we don't have a whole lot of stats to talk about in the third period, but it feels pretty evenly played.
Yeah, right now, both teams getting their chances. Now that we're back to the 5-on-5, we want to see that, create that pace, that tempo, that attack from Post.
Offensive zone faceoff coming up for Post University. Looks like the referees need a couple of new pucks. 13-17 left to go in this period. Jake DiNapoli in the circle for Assumption. Jacob Howell in the circle for Post. And actually, nope, Ryan Decker was in the circle there, and he won it for Assumption. Now DiNapoli has it on his stick, and he takes a tough angled shot. That one easily kicked away into safety by Kaneen. Battle for it right at the point. Puck trickles up into the air. Comes down on Owen Rager's stick. Boy, hard collision into the boards that time. Jonathan Sorrentwood colliding, but he's back up to his feet, racing back defensively. Almost taken away by Assumption. McGuigan takes it right back, but eventually gives it right back. And now look at this, a 2-on-1 forming. DiNapoli for Surrett the other way. Tried an extra pass, and how about the back check that time from Owen Rager to cause the interception?
Difference maker. Just a really good job identifying, skating back hard to the net and picking your guy up.
Back into the offensive zone go the Eagles, now driving towards the net, and a shot attempt that time.
Just a really, really good job defensively by Post. That's when you know you're operating on all cylinders. That was that third guy coming back really, really hard and just full on making a play. Really good stuff.
Owen Rager with a beautiful back check, I should say. On the other end, it was Matt Pacheco, another defender. That's why I was having a hard time finding the numbers. Another defender all the way up the ice with a great shot attempt. So offensive zone face-off here for the Eagles. Joe Santoro in the circle. Got a quick stoppage, and Joe Santoro's going to get kicked out of the circle, so A.J. Gazzardi in there instead. Ends up going the Greyhounds' way. They swing it around the boards. Post to reset and retrieve. Tanner Glassroot dumps it in. No icing called there. They say he was in front of the red line. Joe Santoro with a big hit, and it trickles back out to the post. Slap shot easily kicked away by Salvador yet again. Now moving left to right. Good shot attempt that time from the Greyhounds. Goes back out towards the point, but not able to handle it cleanly. Is Assumption and Caden Connors, and it goes all the way back into the defensive zone. Boy, almost a little too careless that time around from Michael Montague, but no harm, no foul. Joe Santoro brings it back into the offensive zone. Kimball with a tough angle try, and that one hit a defender before it ever hit the net. Now coming the other way. Possible 2-on-3, 3-on-3 coming up for Assumption. A.J. Gazzardi ends up forcing the turnover for Post University. And now Michael Montague with it on his stick once again. Montague with a lot of speed into the offensive zone. Hands it off for his teammate McCowell. Back to Montague. Montague takes the shot. That one kicked and covered up once again by Michael Salvatore, staying strong in between the pipes almost halfway through this third period.
Really good job by Post putting on pressure and then decisively moving the puck, dictating play, getting shots to the net.
Face off to the left of Salvatore here. Connor McCowell in there for the Eagles. Another player kicked out for Assumption. Ends up going the Greyhounds' way either way. Patrick McKiernan to cover the loose puck, but he turns it over. The Eagles trying to get it back out to the point, and they do so. O'Connell just firing away, but missing wide. Back out for Montague. Montague looking for a lane, sends it behind the net. McCowell couldn't play the bouncing puck cleanly. And it does get cleared out of the defensive zone. Question becomes for how long for Assumption. Eagles looking to bring it back in. McCowell laying his body on the line right in front of the Eagles bench. Hard collision that time around. Puck trickles all the way down, and that will be an icing with 10:43.
Yeah, as we get in here now, we're in our last half of the game, right? This is where it's important. All these little things, like necessary. You don't want to have unnecessary, draws that you need to win in your zone. Good plays, smart plays, possess the puck. Timeout for Post, looks like.
Interesting here with 10:43 left to go in this third period. Eagles going to call a timeout, want to talk things over, so we'll take a timeout here in the booth as well. All tied up at 1 apiece, and we'll be back in 30 seconds here on Post University Men's Hockey. Somewhat of an interesting timeout call as we're back in at the Sports Center of Connecticut. Don't often see a timeout to the last 2 minutes, but here Tim Richter calls it 10:43.
Well, with the icing, that group was out there for a while, so the timeout allows you to change your
good call, actually.
Your crew, get the guys out there that you want.
At the very least, give them a breather and get them back on the bench. 10:43 left to go. 1 apiece between the Greyhounds and the Eagles. Leo Panades and Connor Murray wins that face-off battle for the Eagles, I should say. Aiden Kennedy looking to get out of there. Goes across the ice, and tough collision that time between Jonathan Mayer, and was looking for the number for the Assumption defenseman but couldn't find it there. Leo Panades once again has it at the near boards. Just going to slow things down and reset for Assumption as the clock ticks down to 10:15 left in this third period. Panades once again past the blue line. Tough angled shot, glove down that time, and covered up by Benjamin Canine.
Yeah, both teams doing a good job of when they don't have something in the neutral zone, but they have time, kicking it back to their D and coming out the other side or slashing through the middle. That was a good play, good intention. A little bit lower, you get a better rebound off the pads. Because you had number 9 crashing the net there. So some smart hockey being played right now.
You head down to the final 10 minutes of this game. Still tied at 1 apiece. Another player gets kicked out of the circle for Assumption. Eagles win the faceoff, but goes around the boards, and Greyhounds do a good job of keeping it in here. Tanner Glasser trying to get it out of there. Eventually, Eagles finally do get it out. Joe Santoro has it on his stick once again. Stops on a dime, looking to send it across the ice. Beautiful pass, and a shot attempt that time for Post University. And Mayer, I believe, doesn't quite connect. Actually, I should say that was Matthew Pacheco on that shot attempt. Either way, Assumption swings it around the boards, looking to break out yet again. Pace has slowed down a little bit here in this third period, and we finally might be seeing that effect of the home-and-home back-to-back nights. And again, of course, it's always going to pick up towards the end of this game. Pacheco finds Howell, back to Pacheco here, right at the near boards. Excuse me, Coach.
No worries. And this is where it's important for both teams to pick up the pace. You got 9 minutes left in the game. I don't think you have anything else going on the rest of the weekend. So now's your time.
The Eagles forced the turnover in the offensive zone that time around, but out comes Assumption the other way. Now with a head of steam into the offensive zone, taking the shot on goal, they score! Caden Connors, the defenseman, breaks the tie. It's now 2-1 Assumption.
And that's what we're talking about there. He just put his head down, kept his feet moving, and just willed that puck to the net.
Boy, how about the sophomore defenseman from Tewksbury, Massachusetts, looking like a forward there, and with a head of steam, just shoves it through Benjamin Canine and finally gets it past the goaltender who's had a stellar night tonight.
Still plenty of game left now. You're home. You get your last changes. You can manipulate your bench a bit better than your opponent. So let's see what we got in store here.
Coach, they always say the most important goal, it's not the last one, it's the next one as well. And sometimes when you go down 2-1 after leading or being tied for most of the game, you can grab a lot of momentum. Let's see if the Eagles can find a way to do just that. Back into their zone it goes. Owen Rager has it on his stick. Back to the far end now. And
looks like a power play, I think.
Well, this could be the momentum that Post University was looking for, just to try to shift it right back. They'll go back to the man advantage for the 4th time tonight, I believe, although can't confirm those numbers as our sidearm stats are still down, unfortunately. So 1 for 4, I believe, are the Eagles on the power play so far tonight.
And we talk all the time the importance, especially when you get into a third period, to win your battles with your feet, not your sticks. And that was an example of just didn't quite move the feet, so had to get a stick on him.
Scotty Swain with a long shot attempt from the point. That one blockered into safety by Salvatore. Parker Norling once again has it. Now into the far corner. Joe Santoro back to Norling. Shot attempt, diving save that time. Boy, Michael Salvatore doing everything he can to keep this game at 2-1. Benjamin Canine slows it down back behind his net, and the Eagles will have to reset with 1:30 left to go on this man advantage. Scotty Swain has it taken away from him. Nice stick that time from Thomas McGaffigan defensively for the Greyhounds. Swain has it once again, sends it to the other side. Jacob Howell for Parker Norling back at the near side now. That one left just a little bit too long, and the puck gets deflected out of play. 1:17 left on the power play.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be in zone, the draw.
Official penalty, by the way, gets called to Patrick McKiernan on assumption. 2 minutes for slashing. You can probably hear it over the PA here. Face-off coming to the right of Michael Salvatore. Connor Murray going to get kicked out of the face-off circle for Post University.
Yeah, they're being a stickler for that little white spot.
No kidding today. It's been a lot of times you've seen that. Either way, Assumption does win it. Now a battle for it in that near corner. Owen Rager keeps it in the zone, and that shot attempt looked like it might have hit a few bodies and never hit the net. Rager has it once again, looking to reset for Post under a minute on the power play. Rager just going to dump it in, and once he passes the red line, now chasing after it himself, but it ends up being the Greyhounds who win that race, and again goes all the way back down behind the net of Canine. Aiden Kennedy, one of the more high-powered offensive defensemen you'll see in the NE10, although he takes a big stand-up hit, and Kennedy is down on the ice hard right now. Penalty coming up, a 5-on-3 coming up for the Eagles, but let's hope that Kennedy is okay. We were just talking about how skilled offensively he is, and he is grabbing his right knee down on the ice right now. We're going to take a quick break here on Post University men's hockey as the athletic trainers attend to Aiden Kennedy, who seems to be in a lot of pain. 2-1 in favor of the Greyhounds. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back into the Sports Center of Connecticut as Aiden Kennedy needs to get helped off the ice from the athletic trainer and Tanner Glassard and Owen Rager and company. Looked like it was knee on knee there on Aiden Kennedy, and somewhat bittersweet here because it's a 5-on-3 for the Eagles, but at what cost, as we were talking about during that break, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, if you're post, you get one here, then you still have almost another full 2 minutes on the power play.
So 5-on-3 for Post University. Let's see if they can take advantage here. Out to the point, Scotty Swain sends it back to Kimball, now back to Swain, and Swain loses the handle on that one. Recovered nicely from Santoro. Santoro driving towards the net, takes the shot, and beautiful save from Salvatore. Eagles control the rebound, back out to the point as there's 8 seconds left before this turns into a 5-on-4. Baxter Kimball. Back out for Scotty Swain as his shot gets stopped by Salvatore yet again. And now it is a 5-on-4 for 1:30 here. Eagles still on the power play. Scotty Swain to reset for Post University. Hands it to Joe Santoro. Now Santoro through neutralize into the offensive zone. Just going to swing it around the boards. Looking for Scotty Swain to pick it up, but it's actually another teammate who comes in, Baxter Kimball, who loses an edge, turns it over, and boy, almost a 2-on-1 forming. Nice heads-up play defensively on the back check. Joe Santoro really slowed down the possible 2 or 3-on-1 forming for Assumption. 1 minute and 1 second left on the power play for Post University. Only 6 minutes left in what has been a very fun game to watch and call.
Yeah, now's the time to make your best use of your minute one here, right? Win a draw, get it out, let's go.
Connor Murray, Leo Panades in the face-off circle. Murray does win it for the Eagles. Owen Rager takes it out of the defensive zone. Now Post slowing it down. Big collision. You heard the crowd reaction and the bench reaction there, but nothing called, so we'll continue to go on. Unable to clear the zone is Assumption. Stays with Post in the offensive zone, but Murray's pass just left too far. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication there as well. 40 seconds left on the power play. Coming through neutral ice into the offensive zone. Post University still on the man advantage for about 30 more seconds. Owen Rager with the shot from the point. Salvatore didn't know where it was. The whistle gets blown, and it's going to say that he covered it up, actually, I believe.
Yeah, he lost sight of the puck, so you got to blow the whistle.
Boy, a little bit of a break caught that time for Assumption. Looked like the puck was still loose. Maybe it's actually the goal that became dislodged.
Could be, yeah, could be. Tough to see with this beam.
Yeah, for reference, there's a beam in our broadcast booth that kind of blocks really right where the face-off circle is right now. Connor Murray seems to have lost that one for Post University, but it goes back their way. Owen Rager with the shot, and that one just misses high and left of the net. 12 seconds left to go on the power play, but another hand gets raised. And there's going to be a cross-checking call, I believe, against Post University. That's going to make this a 4-on-4 coming up. And it is going to go against the Eagles and TJ Haas, the sophomore transfer out of Heartland, Wisconsin. Going to get called for the cross-check here with only 5 minutes and 15 seconds left. And, of course, that eliminates the Post power play.
10 seconds of 4-on-4 here.
Assumption already has one power play goal to their name tonight. Look at them make it multiple. They win the offensive zone face-off, kick it into the corner, and that is going to bring us pretty much back. And now Assumption is officially on the power play. Tanner Glassford going after the loose puck there, trying to slow it down, but Jonathan Surrett has it instead. Surrett looking for a lane back out to the point. Shane McElhaney now for Ryan Decker. Decker circling around, and his shot just misses up and above the netting as well. Might have caught a piece of the post. Ryan Decker slowing it down, looking into the slot, looking for a deflection, a couple of tries right in front of Benjamin Canine. And boy, want to talk about extracurriculars there. Canine seemed to have it covered up, but as you like to say, Coach, play to the whistle. And that time, Jake DiNapoli was playing through it.
Yeah, they did a good job. I mean, everybody did a good job. Ben made the save. Assumption attack. Post took care of that.
Answered with some more extracurriculars, so to speak. Jake DiNapoli is so dangerous right in front of the crease, too.
Yeah, and you get to he's on the ice all the time. The last 10 minutes, it almost seems like he hasn't been off the ice. So
no kidding.
He's their captain. He's a leader.
Back out towards the blue line here for Assumption. This is Shane McElhaney with the puck. Finds DiNapoli in that far corner. DiNapoli working up against O'Connell. Back to McElhaney. Over to the near side, Hal McKiernan's shot gets deflected up into the netting. Brings us down to 1:10 left on the man advantage for the Greyhounds.
Yeah, and Post's best opportunities here defensively are attacking quickly, because Assumption hasn't really had a great handle on the puck all night. There's been a lot of bouncing, bobbling kind of pucks. That kind of play too, where two defensemen just instead of one forward and one staggered back to maybe keep that in, are just parallel and they just watch it go in between them, which I'm sure that's something they're going to work on.
Under a minute left on the power play for the Greyhounds. They're going to shoot it in, actually on net. Kaneen just going to cover it up and let there be another face-off coming up to his left. Assumption looking to move to 3-1 on this season and looking to sweep this 2-game home-and-home series. But, of course, still so much game left with 4:04 left to go. And with how evenly played this game is, or has been, I should say, really feels like Post still got more than a fighter's chance in this one.
Yeah, there's a ton of time left here.
Back out to the blue line, looking for a deflection that time, and did get one. But Ben Kaneen right there. Panadas is going to technically be counted for the shot on goal. Back out here, Andrew Toomey. Panadas over at the near corner. Circling around, looking for a lane. Finds Toomey at the blue line. And we're going to have a cross-checking penalty coming up here. How about that? About a mile away from the puck. And this is going to be Brett Cunningham for Assumption going to the box. And we're back to a 4-on-4.
Just each team giving the other an opportunity that they should give them. Wow.
This game was so disciplined through the first 2 periods, and really here in the third. Got to imagine that fatigue has to play a part in it, but it has become somewhat sloppy here in the third.
Yeah, mental toughness all the way through. You got to have that for the full 60, both sides.
So offensive zone faceoff coming up for Post to the left of Michael Salvatore. Connor McCowell in there, tie up, and it goes the Eagles' way. Pekka finds McCowell once again. McCowell's long shot attempt right from the point, knocked down by Salvatore and covered by Nick Demio for the rebound. Back into the offensive zone on this 4-on-4 for another 10 seconds for Assumption. Ooh, that one looked like it could have been close to being called as well. But Post, now with this push, will go on the power play yet again. Mateo Pekka back to the near side. Owen Rager. Rager gets tied up along the near boards, kept in nicely that time. Good play by the Eagles. And that shot attempt just doesn't go, hits a few bodies before it ever hits the nets. Back to McCowell, now back out to the point. Glassroot's one-timer, and that one gets stopped by Salvatore on a split save. Back out to neutral ice, and Tanner Glassroot's going to have to reset things. Glassroot takes the long shot attempt, and that one a bit easier stop by Salvatore with 1:07 left on the power play.
So this is where it gets fun, like as a coach and as a fan you're watching, will they play it out like that at some point? Will we make it a 6-on-4?
Right, that's the question that I'm asking right now is 2:48.
Yep.
Probably only about 30 seconds or so from looking to pull Ben Kaneen, if that. Face-off coming up to the left of Salvatore, another whistle. As you said, Coach, Stickler's about that little white dot here tonight. So TJ Haas enters the circle for Post. Gazzardi for Haas. Back out. Now Glassroot tries a shot, deflected a couple of times, but deflected wide of the net. Trickles out into the corner. And the Eagles retain possession on the power play. 50 seconds left. TJ Haas. That shot gets stopped by Kevin Lunny. And off to the net goes Ben Kaneen. 6 skaters on for the Eagles with 2:30 left to go in the game and 40 left to go on the power play. Tanner Glassroot finds Connor Murray on the long up ice pass. Murray dumps it into the offensive zone, chasing after it himself actually. Kicks back out to the blue line and actually goes all the way down into the corner. Racing after it, Leo Pinades almost winning that race, but Parker Norling just able to cut him off. Norling past the red line, past the blue line, now finds Jacob Howell as his shot attempt gets covered up by Michael Salvatore yet again. 13 seconds left with the man advantage, under 2 left to go in the game.
And Post has to be careful with this because if there's some clear possession, that Assumption player just jumps right out of the box to an open net.
Man, Leo Pinades made that very close on that race between him and Parker Norling right in front of us in the Eagles' nest here in the broadcaster's booth. So face-off coming up to the right of Salvatore. And the Eagles win it yet again. One-time attempt from Norling, and that one shouldered away by Salvatore. And Assumption is able to clear the defensive zone. Looks like it might be on net. No, just a little bit to the left. And either way, Scotty Swain beat the race with the puck there. Back to even strength, but not really, as it's a 6-on-5 now. But what a play from Jake DiNapoli, almost forcing the turnover. Parker Norling carries it back behind the net into safety. Up the ice it goes, touched up by Jacob Howell, so no icing going to be called here. Back behind the net is Salvatore as he swings it around the boards. Stayed in the offensive zone, but now it's cleared out. Howell with possession for the Eagles. This is Baxter Kimbaugh. Over to the far side, Pekka. Actually, Santoro, I should say. Santoro driving around the net. Now circling in a tough angle try from Jacob Howell doesn't go as Salvatore put a stops to that attempt. 1:04 left in this game. Pretty evenly matched, like evenly played game between these two teams. It looks like Jacob Howell, I believe, is bent over here for Post University, kind of gingerly making his way back to the bench.
Yeah, these guys giving it everything right now.
No kidding. Man, a home-and-home series, back-to-back nights up in Massachusetts, here in Connecticut. And it's been a close, high-paced, highly physical game between these two conference foes as Connor Murray gets kicked out of the faceoff circle yet again. TJ Haas goes in there, and Assumption wins it. Back out of the zone it goes. Aiden Kennedy back on the ice.
That's
great to see him back on the ice. We were worried about that for a moment, but Owen Rager into the offensive zone, driving around the net with a wraparound try, and Salvatore just got a skate on it. AJ Gazzardi in that far corner. Less than 45 seconds left to go in this game. Kennedy back out there for the Eagles, fighting for that loose puck along that far boards. TJ Haas found Gazzardi for a second, still tied up over there. McGuigan with it. McGuigan with just a quick wrister and smartly covered up as Michael Salvatore somehow, some way lost his stick in that process.
Yes.
32.4 left in this game. 6 skaters on for the Eagles with the empty net. And they have really held possession in that offensive zone for the last minute and a half or so. Just looking to break through the brick wall that is Michael Salvatore.
Big draw right here. Big draw.
Maybe the biggest of the game coming up, and it goes Assumption's way. Out into the far corner. Parker Norling fighting for it. Goes back out to the blue line. Scotty Swain settles it down. Kicks around the boards, back behind the net, pass out into the slot, nobody home to try to get it out onto the net. Scotty Swain once again with 15 seconds left to go. Parker Norling, Eagles circling it around. Scotty Swain with the lane. He takes the shot, but a great block that time by Jonathan Surrett. He takes it out of the zone with 7 seconds and buries the empty netter to put this game on ice. 3-1 Assumption.
Just a good battle between two really good teams, really good rivals.
One of the highest and most fun one of the highest played levels and most fun games of hockey I've called in a long time here in the NE10, and it's going to end up going as an Assumption victory. But man, it wasn't for a lack of effort for Post, as they were all up and down the ice, and it was a highly physical game tonight between these two teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Jonathan Surrett scoring his second of the game on the empty netter, overall his third of the season. Got to imagine Hugh will be the first star of the game. Second star probably belongs to Michael Salvatore. And the rest is history. Assumption sweeps the 2-game home-and-home series against Post University, Game 2, by a score of 3-1. But, Coach, overall, I think both of us are saying just what a fun game this was to watch.
Yeah, if you were watching on TV or you came and supported this team and watched in person, it was really a great contest. It really was.
Overall, it's going to go in favor of the Greyhounds. Again, our live stat system does not seem to be working right now, so we can't really get you the statistical recap that I would love to get to you tonight, but I can give you some of the highlights. It's going to be Jonathan Surrett with 2 goals for Assumption University tonight. Michael Salvatore, stellar in net for the opposition, for that matter. Benjamin Canine had another tremendous game in net of only allowing 2 goals tonight on well over 30 shots. Trying to think of multiple other people who stood out. Anyone else stood out to you, Coach, tonight?
I like Napoli's play
for
Assumption. And again, like I say, Jacob Howell worked really hard.
Jacob Howell.
Great to see, too, Scotty Swain throwing his body around. He had a really good check inside the blue line there. So,
and, of course, we should mention Joe Santoro getting the goal as well and breaking the ice for the Eagles after getting shut out last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, so evenly matched team. And it seems like there's some pretty good parity in the NE10 this year, so it should be a really fun season to broadcast and hopefully for these guys to play.
Well, Coach, look forward to doing it again sometime with you. For the rest of our team, Kristen Brown and our team of graduate assistants here at Post University, and of course for Coach Peter Whitney, my name is Max Stapleton saying thank you so much for taking your Saturday night with us and spending some time. Once again, it's Assumption 3, Post University 1. Have a good night, everybody.